Well, hello, my name is Jim Royal. I am a huge Beatles and Elvis Presley fan and basically classic rock in general. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. Do a thumbs up, like the video, and then feel free to leave any comments. I always enjoy reading them and do my best to try to respond in a timely manner. Today what I wanted to do was a personal ranking of Paul McCartney with the band Wings. I wanted to rank their albums that they released during the time of the band. So we're looking at 9 albums here. They had 7 studio albums, they had a live album, and they had a greatest hits package. I'm going to do all today. Basically, Wings was a band that Paul formed in 1971. It was from 71 until roughly 81. It consisted of him being the principal songwriter and lead vocalist. He would play bass. He would play guitars and some keyboards and piano most of the time. Then you had his wife Linda McCartney. She played keyboards. She would sing backing vocals, do great harmonies with him, and she'd play piano and keyboards. That was her part of the band. And then you had Denny Laine. He was a member of the ex-member of the Moody Blues, and he was a songwriter in his own right. He would write occasionally, but he would basically do backing vocals, sometimes sing lead on his stuff. He would focus on rhythm guitar, but he can play bass and play some keyboards. And then you had a revolving door of the other members. You know, lead vocalists, they would change all the time, and you had drummers that would change all the time. Alright, so before I do the ranking, I just wanted to show you 2 other albums to give you an idea of his output from pretty much from the 70s. This is Paul McCartney's first solo album. It's called McCartney. It came out in 1970 while the Beatles were breaking up. He performs performs everything on here, all the instruments himself. The standout cut on here was Maybe I'm Amazed. Excellent tune, check it out. The other one is Paul McCartney and Linda in 1971 came out with an album called Ram. Very polished album. I believe they recorded most of it in New York City. And a standout cut here, which I think could have been a Beatles song, Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey. Really excellent tune. Alright, well let's start with the ranking now. So number 9, I'm going to go with Wings' Wildlife. This is Wings' first album, released in 1971. At this time they had Denny Swell on drums, and it was just, you know, it's a good album, okay? I just don't think it's their best. This is an album that's very rough. They sound like a garage band. These songs were recorded over a 2.5-week time where the band was just trying to get a feel for who they were and their sound. 1 to 2 takes, okay? Songs that stand out for me that always have Wildlife, I've always loved that song, always. I just think it's excellent, nice rough rocker. I love his vocals on there. I love the piano ballad that he does, Dear Friend. Also Love Is Strange. If there was a single that probably would stand out, would be this one. It was supposed to be a single, but I think it was axed. Cover tune, Mickey and Sylvia's 1950s hit. Linda loved reggae, and they decided to turn it into a reggae type sounding song, very polished. As time has gone by, I've appreciated this album more. I really like more I Am Your Singer, Tomorrow, Some People Never Know, and even the song Mumbo. Alright, number 8. Number 8 we have London Town. This was released in 1978. You had 2 members leave the band while this album was being made. You had Jimmy McCullough on lead guitarist and Joe English, which pretty much I think with the 5 of them was the most successful lineup of Wings. So they do perform on here, but about half the album. Some songs that stand out. My personal Paul McCartney favorite song is With a Little Luck. I think it's excellent. I just love this song. This is not an album though that I really play too much. I remember checking it out from the library. I thought it was good, but I never owned it at the time. Other songs that stand out for me is I'm Carrying. I think it's a nice guitar ballad. I love Morris Moose and the Grey Goose. Really cool tune. London Town's nice. Cafe on the Left Bank, Backwards Traveler, Cufflink, those are good too. So that is my number 8. My number 7 is Wings at the Speed of Sound. This album came out in 1976. Paul tried to show the band as a unified group effort by having each member sing a lead vocal on a song. They were just getting ready to go over to America, and their successful 1975-76 Wings Over, America. Well, the American part, Wings Over the World, but the American part started in '76. So they wanted to get a new album. They did. 2 stellar cuts on here, Let 'Em In and Silly Love Songs. I think Let 'Em In could have been a Beatles song. I know as a boy, listening to this in the car, my parents would have the radio on. I always thought it could have been the Beatles. I always got it mixed up. Linda does a song, Cook of the House, which I think is a nice novelty number. My favorite Denny Lane song is on here, Time to Hide, really good. It's Be Where My Love, nice rocker. It's a good album. It's a little uneven though, okay? But it was a nice polished effort. Number 6. Venus and Mars. The album that came out after the highly successful Band on the Run. How do you follow up with an album like that? Good question, right? Really like it. I really like it a lot. Every song on here is pretty good. The standout song, the hit anyway, is Listen to What the Man Said. I love Letting Go. I think it's just an excellent rocker. I love Call Me Back Again. Could have been possibly on the Abbey Road, in my opinion, my humble opinion. Jimmy McCullough, the lead guitarist, does a song called Medicine Jar, which was just very, very good. I love Venus and Mars and Rock Show, the single. Just some really nice stuff on here. Really nice stuff. All right, we're going to number 5. And this is Wings Over America. This is a triple album that was released at the end of 1976. Basically recordings from concerts that were recorded in America and Toronto. He does some Beatles songs on here, which was the first time he had. He hadn't been to America for 10 years, since 1966, so this was a big deal. The song Soily is an excellent rocker and a nice way to close this album. This is a triple album that went to number 1. It competed against Peter Frampton's Comes Alive, and I think it did really well. This was an album that I didn't really listen to too much growing up. Okay, this is the actual vinyl I bought in the 80s of it. Didn't really play it too much. I appreciated it though. I thought it was good. I've listened to recently the movie Rock Show, and I was just blown away by how great that was. And these are those performances. Shows a very tight band, a band that basically, was something that Paul, was very proud of. Hey, we've made it on our own. He did it after the Beatles. Maybe I'm amazed is this is the live version on here, and that was released as a single, and that did pretty well too. So that's my number 5. My number 4, and some of you might be thinking, why? Why have this so high? Red Rose Speedway. This is Wings' second album, because I just think it's great. I think it's a great album. It was an album that I got pretty early on. I played all the time, the cassettes. That's what we got, these cassettes, and I love it. I love it. My Love is the big standout cut off of here, which I think could have been a Beatles hit if the Beatles were around. That great, polished very well, nice album. I like pretty much everything on here. I love Big Barn Bed, Get on the Right Thing. I like Loop First Indian, on the Moon, the instrumental. I always thought that was kind of fun. One More Kiss, Little Lamb, Dragonfly is excellent. I like how he's trying to do the medley for Abbey Road. He's got Hold Me Tight, Lazy Dynamite, Hands of Love and Power, cut similar to the second half of Abbey Road on the B side. He's trying to do that. He's not quite pulling it off quite the same, but he's doing a good job. This is, this is Paul being pop and being at his best at that way. It's quieter album. It doesn't rock quite as much, but it's definitely worth checking out and giving a second chance if you haven't, or it's been a while you listened to it. Okay, my number 3, yes, it's a greatest hits. It's called Wings Greatest. This is pretty much one of the big reasons that I got into solo Beatles. A friend of mine named Raul in junior high, I think it was 8th grade, we were near the lockers. He had a cassette of this and he said, hey, do you want to borrow it? I said, sure. So I listened to it and I fell in love with it. I had recognized about half the songs I heard on the radio growing up as a boy. But if you want to get a really good idea of, a nice sampling of Paul McCartney from the 70s of some of the bigger songs, the bigger hits he had, this would be it. It includes Another Day, which was a single from Paul and Linda, Not Wings, and then it includes Uncle Albert Admiral Halsey from Ram. So I thought that was tastefully done. Really good album, really nice. All right, number 2 is Back to the Egg. And thinking, what? What's that, Back to the Egg? Yeah, it is a real favorite of mine. I've always loved this album. While it doesn't have any huge hits that came from it, it doesn't matter to me. I listen to it all the way through like I do the others, and I really love it. Getting Closer was probably as big of a hit, the one that they wanted to be a hit, but it wasn't that huge. That was on there, but he's talking, it's a love song, but then he's throwing in lines like My Salamander, which I always thought was really weird, didn't quite understand that. Old Siam Sir is an excellent tune. Arrow Through Me is a nice love song, I like that a lot. Just Rockestra theme, instrumental. It won a Grammy, if I'm not mistaken. It features members of Led Zeppelin on there and The Who, and I think Rockpile and other bands. Definitely worth trying. This is a real sleeper of an album, and I just wish more people, would give it a try. We're Open Tonight is really good on there. Again, he's doing the Abbey Road type thing at the end with After the Ball, Million Miles, Winter Rose. I love that song, and Love Awake. Check it out. My number 1, I think you probably know what it is. Band on the Run. This album came out in 1973. By the eve of them going to, Paul decided to record somewhere else other than England. He went to Africa, and 2 of the members quit on the spot. So they were down to a trio again, just Paul, Linda, and Denny. They played all the instruments on this album. Paul was on drums. They did an excellent job. Jeff Emmerich, Beatle engineer, engineered the album. He won a Grammy for Best Engineered Album. I love it. You have songs that stand out that could have been on Beatle albums like Band on the Run, Bluebird, possibly Jet. I just love it. Other standout cuts, Mrs. Vanderbilt, Let Me Roll It. I love the song 1985. And then there's also Helen Wheels, which was the US, bonus track. So I want to thank you very much for watching my video, and you have a good day, okay? Thank you. Bye.